Now listen, you ever notice how a man can be in a room full of people but still feel alone? Yeah, because connection ain't about proximity. It's about presence. And when you do certain things, not big, flashy things, but real intentional things, that's when he feels you, not just in his mind, but deep down in his soul. You ever notice how a man can be sitting right next to someone, maybe even holding her hand, and still feel like she's a million miles away? That's because being there physically don't mean nothing if you ain't there emotionally. See, when you really understand this, you start to realize something powerful. Your presence, your real presence, is what touches a man's soul. When you give a man your full attention, I mean real attention. Not halfway listening while scrolling your phone, not nodding while your mind's somewhere else. You're telling him something deeper than words. You're telling him you matter. And a lot of men don't hear that enough in life. The world is constantly telling him to be strong, to perform, to provide, to figure it out on his own. So when he's with a woman who actually slows down and listens to him like he's important, like what he says has value, that hits him in a place he can't even explain, and it's not about agreeing with everything he says either. It's about understanding him. It's about looking at him and seeing not just who he is on the outside, but what he carries on the inside. His stress, his pressure, his silent battles. When you can feel that without him having to spell it out for you, that's when the connection shifts. That's when it becomes deeper than just attraction. A man might not always open up right away. In fact, most men don't. They've been taught to hold things in, to deal with problems quietly. So when he does start to open up, even just a little bit, how you respond matters more than you think. If you rush him, judge him, or make him feel small for what he shares, he's gonna shut that door real quick. But if you receive it with patience, with calm, with understanding, you just created a space where he feels safe being himself. And let me tell you something, a man don't forget that. He remembers the woman who made him feel like he didn't have to pretend. The one who didn't make everything about her, but instead made room for him to just be. That kind of emotional presence is rare. That kind of energy is what separates surface level relationships from something real. It's also in the little moments, the way you look at him when he's talking, the way you respond when he shares something small, something that might not seem important to you, but means something to him. Those moments add up. They build something over time. They create a feeling that goes beyond words. When you're emotionally present, you're not just hearing him, you're feeling him. And when a man feels understood without having to fight for it, without having to explain himself over and over again, that's when something inside him relaxes. That's when he lets his guard down. And once that happens, once a man connects with you on that level, it's not just in his mind anymore, it's deeper than that. That's when he starts to feel you in his soul. See, a lot of people out here trying to impress somebody instead of just being real. They put it on a show saying what they think sounds right, acting how they think they're supposed to act. But let me tell you something. A man can feel the difference between something that's real and something that's rehearsed. You might fool him for a little while, but you won't ever reach his soul like that authenticity. That's the word right there. That's the thing that changes everything. When you show up as your true self, flaws and all, no mask, no pretending, that's when a man starts to trust what he feels around you. Because now he ain't guessing. Now he ain't trying to figure out who you really are. He can relax into the moment, knowing what he sees is what he gets. And you got to understand, being real ain't about being perfect. It's actually the opposite. It's in the way you laugh when something is genuinely funny to you, not when you think you're supposed to laugh. It's in the way you express your feelings honestly instead of holding them back or dressing them up to sound better. It's in your reactions, your tone, your energy, everything lining up with who you truly are inside. When a man sees that kind of honesty, it does something to him. It gives him permission to be real too, because now he ain't dealing with someone who's judging every move, someone who's playing games, someone who's hiding behind an image. He's dealing with a woman who's comfortable in her own skin. And that kind of comfort, that's contagious. Now, don't get it twisted. Being authentic doesn't mean saying anything without thinking or being careless with your words. It means being honest with intention. It means expressing yourself in a way that's true, but also respectful. There's a balance to it. And when you find that balance, that's when your words start to carry weight. A man connects deeply when he feels like what you say matches what you do. That consistency between your words and your actions, that's authenticity in motion. If you say you care, he sees it in how you treat him. If you say you support him, he feels it when he's going through something. There's no confusion, no mixed signals. And let me tell you, clarity is powerful because a lot of men out here are used to confusion. They're used to mixed messages, hot and cold behavior, not knowing where they stand. So when he meets a woman who is steady, who is clear, who is real every single time, it stands out. It hits him different. And here's the thing. Authenticity creates emotional safety. When he knows you're not pretending, he stops feeling like he has to perform. He don't feel like he got to impress you all the time or hide his struggles. He can just be himself. And when a man feels like he can be himself without being judged or rejected, that's when the connection goes deeper than surface level. You ain't just someone he enjoys being around anymore. You become someone he trusts, someone he respects, someone he feels grounded with. And that kind of connection, that's not built on looks or money or status. That's built on truth. And truth has a different kind of power. It don't fade. It don't crack under pressure. It don't disappear when things get hard. It stays solid. And when a man feels that kind of realness from you, he don't just see you, he feels you. And when he feels that kind of authenticity consistently, without doubt, without question, that's when it reaches deeper. That's when it settles into a place inside him that ain't easy to touch. That's when he starts feeling you in his soul. Now, let me tell you something most people overlook. Silence. Everybody thinks connection is built on talking, explaining, always having something to say, but real connection, the kind that goes deep, sometimes it shows up when nobody's saying a word. You ever sit next to somebody and it feels awkward because nobody's talking? That's when there's no connection. But when you sit next to someone and it feels peaceful, it feels comfortable, it feels like you ain't gotta force nothing, that's when something real is there. And when you can give a man that kind of silence, that kind of space, you're doing more than talking ever could. See, a man spends most of his life dealing with noise, expectations, pressure, responsibilities, people needing things from him, the world constantly pulling at him. So when he comes around you and it's quiet, not empty, but peaceful, that hits him in a different way. That's when he starts to feel at ease. And it's not about ignoring him or being distant. Now, it's about being present without pressure. It's about sitting there. Maybe you're both doing your own thing. Maybe you're just sharing the same space, but there's no tension, no need to fill every second with words. That kind of comfort tells him something powerful. It tells him he can just be. A lot of people don't understand how rare that is. They think they gotta entertain, impress, keep the conversation going nonstop. But sometimes trying too hard actually creates distance. It makes things feel forced. And a man can sense that. He might not say it, but he feels it. But when you're comfortable enough to let the moment breathe, when you don't rush to fill the silence, when you allow things to flow naturally, that's when the connection deepens. That's when it moves beyond surface level, interaction into something more meaningful. And here's another thing. Silence shows emotional security. When you're not anxious about what to say next, when you're not worried about whether you're being interesting enough, you're showing confidence. You're showing that you're grounded in yourself. And that energy, a man feels that immediately because now he don't feel like he's going to perform either. He don't feel like he has to carry the conversation or impress you every second. He can relax into the moment, knowing that your presence alone is enough. And when a man feels like his presence is enough without all the extras, that touches him deeper than you realize. Sometimes the most powerful moments are the quiet ones. Sitting close, no words, just understanding. Maybe it's the way you lean into him or the way your energy softens around him. Those small, silent signals speak louder than any sentence ever could. And in those moments, something shifts. The connection becomes less about what's being said and more about what's being felt. That's where emotional depth lives. That's where real bonding happens. When you can share silence without discomfort, when you can create peace just by being there, you're giving him something he doesn't get from the outside world. You're giving him a break from the noise. You're giving him a place where he can breathe. And once a man feels that kind of peace with you, once he associates you with calm instead of chaos, quiet instead of pressure. That feeling sticks with him. It stays on his mind. It settles in his heart. And over time, without even realizing it, that quiet connection starts reaching deeper and deeper until it's not just something he enjoys. It's something he feels in his soul. Let me tell you something that a lot of people get wrong. They think love is about big moments, big gestures, showing off, proving something to the world. But what really builds something deep, what really reaches a man's soul, is something much quieter than that. It's respect, it's support, and not the kind you talk about, the kind you show every single day. You see, a man can get attention from anywhere. He can get compliments. He can get attraction. He can get temporary excitement. But respect, real respect, that's rare. And when he feels respected by a woman, not just in public, but in private too, that touches him on a level most people don't even understand. Respect shows up in how you talk to him, especially when you're upset. Anybody can be kind when things are going good. But when there's disagreement, when emotions are high, that's when respect really matters. If you can communicate without tearing him down, without trying to belittle him or win at all costs, you're showing him that the connection matters more than your ego. And that right there builds trust. And support ain't just clapping when he wins. Support is standing next to him when things ain't working out. It's believing in him when he's doubting himself. It's reminding him of who he is when he starts to forget. Because every man, no matter how strong he looks, goes through moments where he questions himself, moments where the weight gets heavy, when you're the woman who doesn't add more weight, but instead helps him carry it. That's powerful. That's not something he overlooks. That's something he holds on to. Because now you're not just someone he enjoys. You're someone who strengthens him. And here's the thing, support doesn't mean you agree with everything he does. It means you stand with him, not against him. It means you can correct him without disrespecting him. You can guide him without making him feel small. There's a way to speak truth while still protecting his dignity. And when you master that, you become someone he trusts deeply. A man needs to feel like the woman in his life is on his team, not competing with him, not trying to outshine him, not constantly challenging his worth, but standing beside him, building with him. When he feels like you're his partner, not his opponent, that changes everything. And don't underestimate the little things. The way you acknowledge his efforts, the way you appreciate what he does, even if it's not perfect, the way you speak life into him instead of constantly pointing out what's missing. Those small actions create a bigger impact than you realize, because the world is already hard on him. The world already questions him, pushes him, tests him. So when he comes to you and finds encouragement instead of criticism, strength instead of stress, that becomes his safe place. And when a man finds a woman who respects him, who supports him, who stands by him with genuine care, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard, that connection goes deeper than attraction. It becomes something real, something solid, something that doesn't shake easily. And over time, that kind of respect and support doesn't just stay on the surface. It sinks in. It roots itself deep inside him. That's when he stops just seeing you as someone in his life and starts feeling you as a part of him. That's when he feels you in his soul. Let me tell you something that separates something temporary from something real: consistency. Yeah, not the exciting stuff, not the dramatic moments. The steady, reliable way you show up over time, that's what makes a man feel secure. And when a man feels secure, that's when the connection starts going deeper than just emotions. See, anybody can be amazing for a few days. Anybody can say the right things when everything is fresh and exciting. But what happens after that? What happens when life gets busy, when moods change, when things aren't perfect? That's where consistency shows its true value, when you show up the same way, not robotic, not predictable in a boring way, but dependable in your energy, your care, your attitude. That tells a man he can trust what he's building with you. He don't have to second guess you. He don't have to wonder which version of you he's going to get today. And let me tell you, that peace of mind, that's powerful, because a lot of men